This is the Guns Magazine podcast, episode number 12. Hi there, and welcome to the Guns Magazine podcast. I'm your host and the editor of Guns Magazine, Brent Wheat. Thanks for joining us as we talk to the interesting people who make up the world of shooting, hunting, and the firearms industry. Today, I talk with Al Kasper, the CEO of Savage Arms. Savage is one of the oldest major firearms manufacturers in the country, and we've all probably owned a Savage or two in our shooting careers. Unfortunately, since the 1960s, the company's bounced around from owner to owner and eventually ended up being owned by Vista Outdoors. Then, last year, it was spun off from Vista, and Al, who was the CEO at the time, put together a private group to purchase the company. Now, Al's both CEO and an owner, a move which I believe has great implications for Savage. During our talk, we discuss how you put together such a huge deal in this era where major banks won't lend money to the so-called evil gun industry, along with Al's hopes for the future, his take on the current state of the gun industry, and much, much more. Now, here's my chat with Al Kasper, CEO of Savage Arms. Well, Al, thank you for joining us here on the Guns Magazine podcast. I know a CEO of a major arms manufacturer, pretty busy guy.
A little bit.
Well, it's great that you would sit down and talk to us, and we really appreciate that. So we'll try not to take too much of your time, but Savage has such a great story, and it's almost kind of a rebirth of the Savage company. You know, first, I'll let you give us the 30-second history of the Savage Arms company.
Well, I joined Savage Arms in 1996, right after Ron Cobra did an LBO of the company. It was a little bit in financial distress at the time I joined the company. And Ron and I kind of took the bulls by the horn, and I came in as the chief financial officer and pretty much focused on getting the financial cash flows of the business turned up right. But my entire career has been in manufacturing, so quickly went into the production facility and started turning around the operations into a more lean type of organization, which we've been very successful with. Started to build a team. That team, I'd say, well, they're all of them except for 3 are still with me. The other 3 retired. So, you know, like any CEO, you can have a great strategy, but if you don't have a team to execute, it never gets done. So I've been extremely fortunate to have these guys and gals who are extremely passionate about Savage and what we do. And, you know, it kind of shows.
Yeah. And, you know, this is a great story because Savage it's a great company history, and they build great firearms, but even since the 1960s, there's been a variety of owners, and a lot of folks realize they were bought by ATK, which spun off into Vista, and then Vista last year, I believe it was in July, decided that they didn't want to hold on to you guys, so you put together a group, and now you're not only the CEO, you're the owner.
Yeah, that was a little unexpected. It wasn't something I could tell you was a long-term strategy of mine. Retirement was more something I would have talked to you about a year or so ago.
Yeah.
It's kind of comical. You know, I've sold the business 4 times in my 24
goodness.
years. I don't plan on doing that again. In fact, the group that is behind me has no intentions of selling. And quite the opposite. They have bought into my strategy to continue to accelerate the growth of Savage.
Yeah. And that's got to be good news for everybody from the janitor to the people in the C-suite.
Yeah, you know, it's been a really interesting ride. So we've been with 3 different private equity groups before we then, you know, moved over to a publicly traded company. I've worked in a publicly traded company. I knew what it was going to be like. I didn't really want to do that anymore, and so I really contemplated retirement at that time. That was 6.5 years ago. My management team, which I just talked about, came to me and said, geez, Al, you have to help us through this transition, or they're going to bring a new guy in, and the whole team could, you know, fall apart.
So what does ownership stability mean for the brand and the guns?
Well, what it means is, you know, there's a couple things that it means. It means that we're going to be able to continue the innovation that we have been very proud to bring, you know, to our customers and to the industry over the last at least 10, 15 years.
Yeah.
So that's unchanged, and as you have seen from some of the new products that we've introduced today, we're not slowing down in any way. So we're very proud of what we have. We're, even though we've expanded more in the shotgun area, we have not in any way turned our back to, our really, our core, bolt-action rifle platforms. We finally had an ownership that allowed us to get into the MSR marketplace. Albeit, 10 years too late, and it's very small right now. So, but, there's other segments of the industry that we're not in, and we are actively pursuing both internal and external opportunities to get us into that.
Well, I saw a media report where you even talked about acquisition of other people. Is that still something that may be on the board?
Yeah, I think I'd be surprised if other contemporaries don't have the same outlook that I do, but, I think that this business is going to consolidate.
Yeah.
Over the Obama, we all probably increased our capacity by 2-3 times. Well, the current demand, which I think is still very good,
sure,
is just not quite at that level.
Yeah.
And so that capacity has to come out. Either has to be idled or people have to just go out. And I think the people that have recognized that early enough and got their businesses to be profitable at the current state of the industry, a la Savage, I think are a real good position versus people that continue to hope and pray that this next election keeps coming up in every conversation that we're going to have another Obama run-up. I personally don't see that. We might get a little blip. I don't, see the public in the same kind of mindset that it was, 9 years ago. And those people are a little bit in distress, tired of the industry or whatever. And I think that there's going to be some real opportunity to consolidate some of that. And like I said, we're not in the handgun business. We'd like to go back in the handgun business. If you come to the lobby and see our museum, we were in the handgun business a long time ago.
Yeah, sure.
So, we're really looking to continue to grow Savage.
Under the previous administration, and I heard several people say that everybody was focused on increasing production. R&D kind of took a back seat, and now, it feels like anyway that you're seeing a lot more innovation come about in the last couple of years. Have you guys ramped up R&D? Is that a new focus, or is that something that's been on the board all along?
Yeah, that's never slowed down. It's... In the industry that we've been in the last 2.5 years or so, where it's really hard to sell product, new always sells. And we've learned that lesson. Over my career with Savage, we've gone through these ups and downs in the industry. And when we've been able to come out with those new products during those down periods, it's really helped the company financially and to keep everybody employed and keep the company moving in a positive direction.
Yeah. Well, this isn't the Wall Street Journal, but how hard is it to put together financing to buy an evil gun manufacturer?
Right now, it's very difficult.
I bet.
I don't know what's going on, or I kind of do, but I'd rather not put my personal 2 cents in. But yes, the political pressures, whatever you want to, social pressures that have been put on these bank CEOs. There's not a major bank that will finance a gun company right now. So
I wondered about that.
It does make it very difficult. And so for me, it was reaching out to people that had much bigger resources, so that the amount of financing that we required was within the realm of some smaller institutions that were more than eager to step up to the plate.
There was pressure put on Vista. Like I know REI wouldn't stock any of their other products because they were associated with Savage. Do you see some other publicly traded companies? Is this going to be a worsening problem for the publicly traded ones of boycotts and activism through banking and things like that? Is that a good reason to go private?
Well, even when you go private, you still have to have some level of financing. You have daily cash flows and things that you need to fund certain things. So to be out of the public is wonderful.
Yeah.
The pressures that Chris Metz, the CEO of Vista, I wouldn't trade jobs with him for any amount of money.
No doubt.
So, it's something that he doesn't enjoy very much, and I don't think any CEO does.
Sure.
That quarter-to-quarter expectation. It really doesn't allow you to run the business for the long term. So that's a huge advantage now for Savage, not being in that, so that we don't have those pressures. We don't have to go to our customers and say, please take product, when they really don't need to take product.
Yeah.
Which really disrupts the manufacturing process. So we're very thankful that we're not part of that.
Well, Al, you told me an interesting story about when you went to the home office to tell them, well, I'm done and I'm going to go take a well-deserved retirement.
Yeah. So it was the end of our fiscal year. There was a board meeting coming up. I had asked Chris Metz if I could come have a breakfast meeting with him, specifically to tell him at that time that I was going to retire. So we met at the breakfast, and before I could tell him my news, he said, I have important news to tell you, and that's when he informed me that the board had decided to sell 3 divisions to help reduce the leverage of the company, which made a lot of sense.
Yeah.
And that Savage was one of those. And then he asked me what my news was, and then I told him, and he said, oh my God, you can't do that. You are Savage. You got to stay to do it. So we started a formal process, went through the process, and as I said, I've sold the company, 3 times before that. So I knew that, strategics were going to be a part of that mix, and I wanted to see if I could do whatever I could do to protect the family of people that, we've come to build.
Yeah.
And so I called upon some private equity guys that I've known for many, many, many years, and asked them if they could put together a group, which they did. And so in this process, we had a strategic come along that we were in agreement made sense for Savage, was going to, build out the Westfield plant, add some people, which was great. They brought products that we don't currently manufacture, so that was another good thing. And somewhere in that process, things didn't quite work out. And, Chris had to, kind of move this thing along. And so my group was the only one that really could close quickly enough.
Yeah.
And so we were able to strike a deal. And so now we're back in the private marketplace. My job is tremendously more fun than it used to be.
No doubt.
So we put retirement on hold. I'm having a lot of fun. So, I plan to be around for a little bit longer.
Fun almost every day.
Yeah, it's just the dynamics of how you run a business in a public marketplace versus a private one is just it's night and day. It's not a little difference; it's a huge difference.
So, when you finally get that retirement, what do you want the Al Kasper legacy to be at Savage?
I just want to make sure that when I leave, that the people that take over in the leadership of the company continue to do the things that I've done to help build the family culture, to continue to, keep the lights on, keep Savage going, keep it in the forefront, keep it innovative, and keep all the passion that we have in all the people, going. Savage is not about me. It's never been about me, and I've never tried to build Savage as my legacy. As a CEO, I think my job is to keep the lights open. And I tell my employees the highlight of my year is when we do our service awards, and I'm giving out 25-year, 40-year, 50-year awards. To me, that's to be able to have known that I've been able to make some good decisions with a great team to allow these people to have been in one place for that period of time. I don't know if there's any more satisfaction you can get from that.
And people don't do that nowadays.
No, it's sad. But like I said, even in the people in the factory, I tell them all the time, you are the business. I don't make the guns. You do. Without you, we're nothing. So you're not the low person on a totem pole. You're very important to us, and we do everything together. We say benefits. There's no us and them. It's we. Yeah. Team Savage.
And everybody says that, but I've been to the factory, and you do get that sense. So It does feel very much like a family-owned gun builder. It really does.
Yeah, we love those guys and gals out there. They work very hard. We don't have air conditioning in the plant in the summertime. It gets pretty damn hot out there. We run a popsicle truck around.
Oh, really?
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
Well, 30,000-foot view. What are some of the trends you guys are looking at without giving away trade secrets? What are some of the things you're seeing in the future?
I would like to see, we have a lot of activists that are out there, we talked about that, are putting pressure on these environmental people and whatnot. I would like to see the people in our industry come out in support of our industry. Conservation, these people that are so upset about, well, they love to go to national parks. They love to, well, where do they think all the money comes from to support those efforts? It comes from us, our industry. So the same people they hate are the ones that, they can't wait and say, we need this. Well, okay. So, I'd like to see people in our industry come out and start speaking because we really aren't the big bad industry. There are a few people that have done some bad things. Well, people do bad things with all kinds of products.
Hunter retention and recruitment is a big issue, and as a company that has a strong tradition of hunting guns and still a significant part of your product mix is focused on hunters, what's your view of are the numbers ever going to come back, or do we need to fight harder, or do you have the answer? Tell me what the answer is to that.
No, boy, do I wish I had the answer.
Don't we all?
There'd be a lot of CEOs that would love me.
Yeah.
We just, we have to continue as an industry to do the things we've been doing, because access is an issue. Time to do it is an issue. So I think, and I've heard and read statistics, we've kind of missed a generation. The boomer, which I'm part of, we were so busy trying to build our careers and build this pile of wealth that I can't say we did the best job, not everybody, didn't do the best job, spending time with our kids like our grandfathers and great-grandfathers did, taking us out. Everybody is so busy. My kid's in this soccer team and he's on this thing and he's got no time, So, it's really trying to, reintroduce that, hey, it's good to spend time with your son and your daughter, and going shooting like I do with my son and daughter. They're right next to me. We do it together.
Yeah.
It doesn't take, you're not there 6 hours. You're not there 4 hours. An hour and a half or whatever. You shoot a couple rounds of trap or skeet, some sporting clays, do some plinking. It's just great time that you spend with your kids. For a long time, I have 2 boys that are Eagle Scouts. I used to recruit dads and moms to be den leaders. My famous line to get them to do it, when they always say to me, oh, geez, Al, I'd love to do it, but I'm too busy. I'd say, well, I'm really sad for you. And they'd say, why? I said, because you're telling me is you don't have an hour a week to spend with your son.
Yeah.
Well, that's all it is. It's 1 hour a week. All right, I'll do it.
Oh, that's pretty good.
But in our industry, we've got to do the same thing.
Okay, I'm going to put you on the spot. I'm sure you love all your products equally, like we love all of our children equally. But right now, what's got you most excited about the Savage product line?
2,
okay.
Actually. The ultralight rifle that we introduced. We were asked about a year or so ago, actually by our European dealers, to come up with a lightweight rifle. It was something that they were hearing more and more from their customers. And so just by chance, we happened to make a connection with Proof Research and decided to work on our stock a little bit, make it lighter, do some things with the mechanics, and then while at the same time working with their people to get the barrel to the accuracy level that we kind of need. And the result of that is that rifle, and everybody that picks it up so far at the show says, I got to have one of these.
Yeah.
It's 5.8 pounds.
That's crazy.
So, and the other is the Renegade shotgun. So this is a U.S.-made shotgun. We haven't had anything new in the USA. We all import from Turkey and China. But, I had several engineers work on this. It took 3.5 years to get there. I literally killed the project 3 times because it was overweight and it was way too expensive to tool. And then, one of our prized young design engineers happened to take it as like a side personal project.
I believe we talked to him.
John Linscott, just a fantastic engineer, and he redesigned the gas system. We patented it. that cast system, it really outshoots anything in the marketplace. There's a lot of cool things about it. We did a lot of market research, the ergonomic stock, the larger controls and the self-cleaning, and it's just so we're really excited that we're able to bring it out at a pretty decent price, and I'm really overwhelmed by the response to it. It's a very mature market, as we know. But the response at the show has been just phenomenal, and the dealer shows leading up to this have all responded exceptionally well to it. So I feel really good for Johnny, who I brought him to the show.
Yeah. And
he's just you've met him. He's a very kind of shy kind of guy. And
he didn't want to go on camera, but he did great.
He's he's just overwhelmed by what he's done, and we're very proud of him.
Well, I got to shoot it the other day, and I was impressed with it. So I only got to put about a half box of shells, and once I got my sighting in and I could actually kill some clay pigeons, I was pretty impressed with it. But okay, I'll put you on the spot of you have access to all these wonderful guns. What's the kind of hunting that Al likes to do when he has a few minutes away from Savage?
Every year, I have a hunting buddy that used to work for Jerry's. Used to run the Newington, Connecticut distribution center, Larry Ricard. We go to a hunting camp in upper state New York, just north of Watertown, and we whitetail hunt. That cool. Is we turkey hunt and whitetail together, and we've been doing it for years, and it's that 1 week in October that I know I'm going to just relax.
You can actually turn your phone off?
I actually don't even bring it with me.
Oh wow, you're my hero. That's incredible. Well, we appreciate you sitting down with us, because I know you're literally, as we're recording this, there's a board meeting going on that you were sitting in on the phone. So
that's true.
I can't imagine. I think sometimes I get busy, but I'm just responsible for America's greatest magazine, but you've got a whole big company full of great folks putting out great products. So Al Kasper, we appreciate you sitting down and having a brief chat with us, and I guess we both have to go back to doing other business.
All right. Well, I appreciate your time as well. Thank you very much.
It was great Al could find the time to sit down with us and share his insights as a veteran chief of a major gun company. With that, we hope you're enjoying the Guns Magazine podcast. Please tell all your friends, even the liberals. Guns Magazine is #1 in the business, and we're using our decades of friendships to bring you the most interesting chats in the gun world. If you have questions, comments, or a guest you'd like to recommend for the show, please email me, editor@gunsmagazine.com. Make sure you don't miss out on anything by subscribing to us on your favorite podcast directory and YouTube. Of course, you can always listen and download our episodes at gunsmagazine.com, and while you're at it, don't forget to check out our sister publication, American Handgunner Magazine, at americanhandgunner.com. That's it for this episode of the Guns Magazine podcast. For the entire crew at FMG Publications, I'm Guns Magazine editor Brent Wheat. Now get out there and get shooting.